I'm truly grateful that you're here right now, giving me your time, your attention, and just in a world full of noise, the fact that you chose to listen, to think, and to question that already puts you ahead of most people. So settle in, breathe. For the next little while, it's just you, me, and the truth about money, the kind most people never hear. Close your eyes for a moment and imagine this. Two people are born on the same day in the same city, maybe even in the same neighborhood. They grow up seeing the same streets, the same schools, the same economy. Fast forward 30 years, one of them is drowning in debt, terrified of the next bill. And the other quietly owns assets, cash flow, and choices. Not a lottery win, not a miracle. Just different habits, tiny invisible decisions, day after day after day. That's how destiny works with money. Not in giant fireworks, but in tiny sparks lit over years. And the uncomfortable truth is this: your future is not being decided in some distant boardroom or by some politician on TV. It's being decided in the smallest, most private moments, when you choose to spend or save, to consume or invest, to numb your pain with distractions or to face your reality with courage. Tonight, I want to talk to you about those tiny secret decisions, the ones that separate the broke from the millionaire, long before the bank account ever shows it. Because broke is not just a number in the account, and millionaire is not just a title on a piece of paper. They are patterns, they are behaviors, and those behaviors are quietly deciding where you will stand 100, 20, 30 years from now. Let's begin with a hard, honest look at something most people never question. How do you react when money comes in your hands? Most people, when they get paid, feel one emotion: relief. Finally, I can breathe. The money arrives and instantly, mentally, it's spent. Bills, food, wants, impulses, little rewards, emotional band-aids. The paycheck barely touches their account before it's already gone in their mind. This is the first big difference between broke habits and millionaire habits. A broke mind sees money as oxygen. I need it now. I'm suffocating. A millionaire mind sees money as a seed. I need to plant this. I need it to grow. Think about a farmer. If he eats every seed he has because he's hungry right now, winter will starve him. Most people are eating all their financial seeds and then wondering why their field never grows. Let me tell you a simple story. There was a young man who made very average money, nothing special. But every single time he got paid, he did something his friends called stupid. He would immediately move a small percentage out of his spending account and into a separate investment account. Sometimes it was 5%, sometimes 10%, sometimes even just 2% when times were hard. But he did it every time. No debate, no negotiation, no drama. His friends laughed. Bro, what's the point of saving such a small amount? You live only once, enjoy now. Investing is for rich people, not for us. But he wasn't saving to feel rich now. He was building the habit of treating money like a tool, not a toy. Fast forward a decade. The same friends were still in the same circle. New phones on EMI, new shoes bought with credit, new vacations financed with future stress. He, on the other hand, had quietly built a portfolio. It wasn't some magical overnight fortune, but it was real. Real stocks, real funds, real assets, real options. He wasn't better than them. He just had one habit they didn't. He paid his future self before he fed his present impulses. That's millionaire behavior. And I want you to notice something important here. He didn't start after becoming rich. He started when he had almost nothing. People get this backwards all the time. Most people say, one day when I have more money, then I'll invest. But without investor habits, extra money only creates bigger problems. If you're bad with 500, you'll be worse with $5. If you're reckless with $5,000, you'll burn 50,000. Money doesn't fix a broken mindset, it amplifies it. So I want to ask you a simple, uncomfortable question. The last time money came into your hands, what did your habits do with it? Did you follow a system? Or did you follow your mood? Because here is another brutal difference between broke and millionaire behavior. Broke behavior is emotional. Millionaire behavior is systematic. Most people's financial life is driven by feelings. I feel like I deserve this now. I feel stressed, so I want to order something, buy something, escape something. I feel bored, let me scroll. Oh, look, a discount I'll buy. They don't spend money. They trade their financial future for temporary emotional relief. Millionaire behavior. It's almost boring. Income comes in, a system activates. A fixed percentage goes to investments. A fixed percentage goes to savings or reserves. A fixed percentage goes to living, enjoying, giving, surviving. The system doesn't argue with moods. The system doesn't care if someone is in the vibe to invest or not. The system just runs. If your money life right now is chaotic, unpredictable, last minute, constantly in crisis, I promise you it's because you're living by feelings, not by rules. You do not need $1 million salary to start living like a future millionaire. You need rules. You need non-negotiables. Maybe tonight is the night you write one. From now on, no matter what, I will invest at least X% of every single income that touches my account, even if it's a gift, even if it's a bonus, even if it's small. You're not just investing money. You're investing identity. You're telling yourself, I am the kind of person who plants seeds. Let me show you another deep difference. When a broke mind loses money, it says, see, this is why I don't invest. When a millionaire mind loses money, it says, what can I learn so this doesn't happen again? Both lose. But only one turns loss into tuition. There was a woman who started a small business. She used her savings, borrowed a bit from family, and launched something she believed in. First year, she failed badly. Inventory stuck, sales low, marketing weak. Most people around her said, this is why you should have just stayed at your job. She felt the shame, the fear, the embarrassment. But she did something different with that pain. She sat down and did a post-mortem on her failure. Where did what the money actually go? What completely flopped? What did she assume that reality proved wrong? It was painful. It was humbling. But that process, that cold, honest review, that's millionaire behavior. Broke behavior avoids the mirror. Millionaire behavior studies the mirror. She tried again. This time with smaller inventory, tighter market, and better pricing. Year 2 didn't make her rich, but it made her wiser. And that wisdom became the foundation for her eventual success. Here's something you must understand if you want to break out of broke mode forever. Millionaire behavior doesn't mean you stop making mistakes with money. It means you stop making the same mistakes with money. If your financial life feels like a loop, paycheck, spend, regret, promise, repeat, that's not an income problem. That's a habit problem. Let's talk about one of the most powerful but least obvious habits that decides your financial future. What do you do with your free time? You may not realize this yet, but your future net worth is quietly hiding inside your evenings and weekends. Broke behavior treats free time as an escape. Scroll, stream, numb, repeat. What tire? We deserve to relax. And yes, rest is important, but there's a difference between rest and sedation. Millionaire behavior uses at least part of that time as a weapon. Learning a skill, studying markets, reading about businesses, understanding how capital really moves in the world, building a side income, improving their decision-making. Let me be very clear. Most people are not broke because they are lazy. They work hard, sometimes harder than wealthy people. But they're stuck because all their hard work is spent in survival, not in building leverage. The wealthy are not always smarter. They are just more strategic about where their energy goes. Imagine two people after a long day of work. Person A says, I'm exhausted, I just want to forget today. They open their phone, lose 3 hours, go to bed, and repeat. Person B says, I'm exhausted, but I'll give myself 1 hour. 1 hour to study, build, invest in something my boss doesn't control. 1 hour a day is 7 hours a week, more than 350 hours a year. In 5 years, that's 750 hours. What do you think happens to someone who's won 750 hours learning money, investing skills, mindset, while everyone else spends that same time distracting themselves? That is where the gap is built. The millionaire gap is not just income. It is what they do when nobody is watching and nobody is paying. Another subtle, powerful difference. Broke behavior reacts to prices. Millionaire behavior reacts to value. Most people buy based on how much does it cost per month. Payment plans, EMI, subscription, only $2 a day. It feels small. It feels harmless. And then one day, they look around and realize their whole life is rented, including their peace of mind. Millionaire behavior asks a different question. If I buy this, does it add to my future capacity to earn, grow, or live better? Is it an asset to my life or a liability I emotionally justify? They'll spend heavily on books, courses, mentors, tools, health, things that silently upgrade their earning engine, and they'll often be surprisingly simple, even cheap, with status symbols. Here's a harsh truth. Broke behavior is obsessed with looking rich. Millionaire behavior is obsessed with becoming free. Ask yourself honestly, how many of your purchases in the last 6 months were about impressing others? Ooh, and how many were about improving yourself? No one will see the hours you spend studying cash flow, reading annual reports, learning about ETFs, real estate, business models, tax strategy. Those things don't get likes on social media, but they get something far more important later, freedom. Let's talk about patience, another habit that draws a thick line between broke and millionaire mindsets. Broke behavior wants fast results or no effort. Quick money. Double in 30 days, get rich by this weekend. When they invest and the market dips for a few months, they panic. This doesn't work. I knew it. I should have stayed in cash. So they sell low. Later, when prices rise again, they say, now it's too expensive. While they wait for the perfect, risk-free pain, free moment time quietly punishes them. Millionaire behavior has a deep respect for compound interest in time. They know cycles will come. Crashes will come. Noise will never stop. But their horizon is long. They study history more than headlines. They understand that volatility is not a bug of investing. It is the price of admission. There was a man who bought shares in a solid company after studying it carefully. He didn't rush. He read, he listened, he thought. Then he invested. Within months, the stock fell 30%. The people around him mocked him. You lost money. You should have kept it in the bank. He felt fear, of course. He's human. But instead of reacting, he went back to the research. Did the company's earnings collapse? Did the management change? Did the long-term story break? If not, then the price drop was just a storm, not the end of the world. Years later, that same investment multiplied. Not overnight, not in a year, but over time. His calm behavior during the storm is what got rewarded. Broke behavior worships the short term and sacrifices the long term. Millionaire behavior sacrifices comfort in the short term to secure the long term. Now, let me ask you something quietly, just between us. When you think about money, do you feel more fear or more responsibility? This is another key distinction. Broke behavior sees money as something that happens to them. The economy is bad. My boss doesn't pay enough. Prices keep going up. They are always on defense, always the victim, always explaining why nothing can change. Millionaire behavior, no matter how little they start with, sees money as something they must learn to direct. They say, I cannot control everything, but I can control my habits, my learning, my reaction, my strategy. They accept responsibility, not blame. Responsibility feels heavy at first, but it's also the first step to power. There was a young guy buried in credit card debt, loans, and late fees. He felt like he was drowning. For years, he kept saying, it's not my fault. Life is expensive. The system is rigged. Maybe some of that was true, but none of it helped him. One day, something broke inside him. He got tired of his own excuses. He sat down, opened every statement, listed every debt, every interest rate, every due date. The paper was ugly. The numbers were ugly. He felt sick, but he kept going. Then he did something brave. He called the banks. He negotiated interest. He asked for payment plans. He cut the cards. He sold things he didn't need. He picked up a side hustle. He attacked the smallest debt first to build momentum, then the next, then the next. It took him years, not weeks, not a hack, years. But every payment was a vote for a new identity. I am not helpless. I am not a victim. I am rebuilding. That is millionaire behavior, not the numbers in the account, but the mindset that says, I will not run from this. I will face it and fix it. You see, wealth doesn't start with a bank deposit. It starts with a decision to stop living in denial, a decision to stop being entertained more than you are educated, a decision to stop outsourcing your future to luck, lottery, or someone else's mercy. It starts the moment you say, I am done living by accident. From now on, my money moves will be intentional. So as you sit here listening to my voice, I want you to imagine your life 10 years from now. If you keep your current habits, your current spending, your current level of learning, your current response to fear, where does that path lead? And now, if you adopt even a few of these millionaire behaviors, paying your future self first, running your money by rules, not moods, turning losses into lessons, using your free time as a weapon, focusing on value over status, honoring patience and long-term thinking, taking full responsibility for your financial life, where could that path lead? Somewhere inside you, you already feel the answer. That quiet voice that says, I am meant for more than survival. I am meant to build. Hold on to that voice. Because from here, we're going to go even deeper into the habits that quietly shape your financial destiny, the habits almost nobody around you is practicing yet. Let's start pulling back the curtain on something most people never connect to money at all. Who you spend your time with. You can have millionaire habits in your head, but if you live inside a broke environment, those habits will constantly be under attack. Broke behavior loves company. It loves conversations like, investing is gambling. Rich people are all corrupt. Just enjoy your money. You can't take it with you. This is just how life is for people like us. Say those sentences enough times and they become a prison, not a physical one, a mental one. Millionaire behavior is very careful about what beliefs are allowed to live in the room. There was a man who grew up hearing, we're not meant to be rich. People like us just survive. He loved his family, but their beliefs about money were soaked in fear and scarcity. Every time he talked about saving or investing, they would say, don't aim too high, you'll just disappoint yourself. Only lucky people get rich. Just be grateful you have a job. For a long time, he believed them. He copied them. Until one day he met someone different. Not a billionaire, not a guru, just a simple, disciplined investor. This person didn't flex, didn't show off, but quietly owned multiple assets, had no consumer debt, and never panicked about bills. Curious, he asked, how did you do it? The answer wasn't magic, was mindset plus years of small, consistent behavior. But the real change came from something else. Being around someone who treated wealth as normal, not as impossible, slowly his beliefs started to shift. He didn't cut off his old world with hatred. He simply built a new circle. We're talking about compound interest, portfolios, cash flow, and discipline was normal. Where investing wasn't crazy, it was expected. And that shift from this is impossible for people like me to this is normal for people like me, that's when his financial life really began. Broke behavior defends limiting beliefs. Millionaire behavior interrogates them. You might not be able to change all the people around you overnight, but you can change what you input. What are you feeding your mind daily? Drama or data? Conspiracy or cash flow education? Gossip or game plan? Every video you watch, every article you read, every conversation you have about money is quietly programming your financial future. And here's a subtle, powerful habit millionaires share. They ask better questions. When something is expensive, a broke mindset says, I can't afford it. Conversation over. Door closed. A millionaire mindset asks, what would I need to do, build, or change it so I can afford this without destroying my future? Now the brain has work to do. Now the door is open. When opportunity appears, a broke mindset says, this is risky, I'll probably lose. A millionaire mindset says, this is risky, but what's the calculated downside? How can I protect myself while I participate? They are not fearless. They are just trained to move from emotion to analysis to action. Let me give you another story. A young woman got her first serious job and decided, I don't want to live like my parents, always one bill away from panic. So before she even received her first paycheck, she made a money map. She split her income into different jobs, mandatory living costs, long-term investments, emergency fund, learning and skill building, enjoyment and generosity. Then she did something crucial. She automated as much as she could. Investments went out automatically on payday. Savings moved out before she could touch them. Her fund money was clear and guilt-free because it was already budgeted. Years later, when her friend said things like, you're lucky you have investments, she smiled quietly, knowing it wasn't luck, it was design. Broke behavior leaves money decisions to the last minute. Millionaire behavior designs money decisions in advance. If right now your finances feel like chaos, ask yourself, how much of my system is dependent on willpower and how much is built into automatic structure? Willpower is weak when you are stressed, tired, emotional, or scared. Systems don't care how you feel. They just execute. Even something as simple as, every month on the first X cent automatically moves into my investment account, can change your life over 10 years. Now let's talk about something that doesn't get romanticized, but it's one of the strongest predictors of financial destiny. How you handle boredom. Yes, boredom. At the start of any financial plan, motivation is high. New budget, new spreadsheet, new app, new promise. That's it. From today, everything changes, but slowly the excitement fades. The process becomes repetitive. Check numbers, move money, review assets, same thing again, no fireworks, no adrenaline. This is where broke behavior and millionaire behavior take completely different roads. Broke behavior gets bored and abandons the plan. I'll get back to it when things are calmer. I already know this, I don't need to track it anymore. Then slowly old habits sneak back in. Millionaire behavior understands that wealth is built not in moments of inspiration, but in long seasons of consistency. They learn to fall in love with the routine, to respect the boring parts, to find satisfaction in watching numbers move slowly in the right direction. There was an investor who called his portfolio a tree. He watered it monthly, checked on it quarterly, evaluated it deeply yearly, not daily, not hourly. He didn't keep digging up the roots to see if it was growing. He trusted the process while still being awake and aware. Broke behavior wants constant novelty. Millionaire behavior wants progress. When you don't see dramatic change for a few months, do you say, this isn't working? Or do you say, this is the part where most people quit, I won't? That moment, the temptation to quit when it looks too slow, that's where destiny's split. Now let's get very practical, very real. I want you to imagine your bank and card statements for the last 90 days laid out on a table in front of you. Every meal, every subscription, every impulse purchase at 2 a.m., every small, it's just a few dollars moment. Broke behavior is afraid to look at this table. They say, I don't even want to know. It will stress me out. And so they drift blind. Millionaire behavior forces themselves to look, not to hate themselves, not to feel shame, but to see the truth so they can change it. When you audit your last 90 days, patterns appear. You'll see where you leak, where you soothe, where you lie to yourself. And you'll also see where you're already strong. Maybe you realize, I'm actually good with groceries, but terrible with online shopping. Or, I don't overspend, but I also don't invest. I just let money sit and die in cash. This awareness is painful, but it's sacred. Because until you see your patterns, you can't rewrite them. Millionaire behavior is not about perfection. It's about relentless awareness. Another habit that draws a sharp line between broke and millionaire thinking is how they define risk. Most people think working a job is safe and starting a business or investing is risky. But look deeper. Is it really safe to have your entire income dependent on one employer, one industry, one country, one salary? Is it really safe to know that if you stop working, all income stops? Millionaire behavior looks at that and says, that's not safety. That's concentration risk. So they learn to build multiple pillars under their life. Maybe a job plus some investments, maybe a business plus some property, maybe a skill that can be monetized in different ways. They don't always shout about it, but quietly, they are always asking, if this one pillar got hit, would my whole life collapse? Broke behavior thinks investing is too risky because prices move up and down. Millionaire behavior sees not investing as far riskier because it guarantees slavery to time and inflation. There was a man who avoided investing his whole life because he was scared. I can't risk losing my money, he said, so he kept everything in the bank in cash. By the time he retired, His money hadn't grown, but prices had. Life had become more expensive. His savings could not support the lifestyle he dreamed of. He thought he avoided risk. In reality, he chose a different kind of risk, the slow erosion of his purchasing power. Millionaire behavior accepts the reality that every path has risk. The question isn't, how do I avoid risk? The question is, which risk am I willing to manage? And that leads us to another powerful habit. They don't chase every shiny opportunity. Broke behavior is addicted to the next big thing. Today, crypto. Right. Tomorrow, options. Next week, some secret Forex course. No real understanding, just chasing stories and hype. Millionaire behavior is happy to be late to the party if it means they actually understand what they're buying. They study. They ask boring, fundamental questions. What does this business actually do? How does it make money? What are the risks? What's the worst case scenario? Can I sleep at night holding this? They know they don't need every opportunity. They just need a few good, well, understood ones held for a long time. Let's talk about emotional regulation now, because this might be one of the most decisive habits of all. Money amplifies emotion.
Fear.
Greed, envy, pride, shame. If you don't learn to watch your own emotions, they will ruin your financial life from the inside. Broke behavior panics at every dip and gets euphoric at every rise. They buy because others are buying. They sell because others are scared. They move with the crowd and pay the price of the crowd. Millionaire behavior trains itself to step back. When fear rises, they ask, is this a true threat or just noise? When greed whispers, put everything into this, double down, don't miss out, they ask, what if I'm wrong? How do I protect myself? They are not perfectly calm robots. They feel everything you feel. They just don't let feelings drive the wheel. There was an investor who had a simple rule for himself. If I see a money opportunity and my heart rate spikes, I don't act immediately. He would wait 24 hours, sometimes 48. If it still looked good after the adrenaline faded, then he would study more. This small delay saved him from many disasters. Broke behavior acts first, thinks later. Millionaire behavior thinks first and then acts with intention. Now let's zoom out for a moment. We talked about paying your future self first, running systems, not moods, turning loss into tuition, using free time to build leverage, choosing environment and input, asking better questions, falling in love with boring consistency, studying your patterns through audits, redefining risk, resisting shiny distractions, regulating emotional reactions, taken individually. Each of these seems small, but habits don't work alone. They work like a team, stacking on top of each other. Here's the real secret. Broke Vest Millionaire is not decided in one giant moment. It is decided in thousands of tiny, quiet, repetitive, unglamorous moments that most people think don't matter. But they do. They matter more than you know. So I want you to imagine something with me. Imagine a version of you 5 years from now who has been living these habits consistently. Not perfectly, but faithfully. You pay yourself first. You invest a percentage no matter what. You track your spending with honesty. You keep learning. You surround yourself with better influences. You build multiple income pillars. You act slowly when emotional and decisively when informed. How does that version of you walk? How do they talk about money? How do they sleep at night? What kind of choices can they make that you can't make right now? That version of you is not a fantasy. It's a mathematical outcome of the habits you choose today. Because in the end, destiny is not just written in the stars, it's written in your calendar, in your bank statements, in your browser history, in the invisible pattern, how you treat money every single day. And yet, even after hearing all this, most people will nod, feel inspired, and then go back to their old patterns. Why? Because they try to change everything at once. And when they fail, even slightly, they say, see, I knew I couldn't do this. That's why the next part we move into is crucial. We're going to talk about how millionaire behavior doesn't just live in theory, but how it gets installed in real life, step by step, stack by stack, in a way that respects your current reality, not some fantasy life. We'll dive into how to start small without staying small, how to create rules your emotions can't easily break, and how to build a financial life that isn't just rich in numbers, but rich in peace, purpose, and control. Because the goal is not just to have more money. The goal is to become the kind of person who can handle more money without losing themselves. Let's start with something simple and powerful. Your life doesn't change when you learn a new idea. It changes when that idea becomes a habit, and that habit becomes part of who you are. So instead of saying, from tomorrow I'll live like a millionaire, let's ask a better question. What is one millionaire behavior I can lock in starting this week and protect for the next 12 months? Just one. Maybe for you, that's paying yourself first 10% of every income automatically invested, or tracking every expense for 90 days, no matter how small, or dedicating 45 minutes every evening to learning about money and investing, or eliminating one toxic cash-burning habit and redirecting that money into assets. Pick one. Because when you install one behavior deeply, it tends to pull the others in with it. Let me give you a simple framework. Identity, rules, systems, and environment. Most people try to change at the action level. I'll try to save more. I'll try to stop buying random things. I'll try to invest regularly. But if deep inside their identity still whispers, I'm just bad with money, those actions will never last. Millionaire behavior starts with identity. It sounds like this. I am the kind of person who respects money. I am the kind of person who always pays my future self first. I am the kind of person who learns before leaping. You don't need to feel like it's true yet. You just need to claim it and then support it. From identity, you move to rules. Rules are the lines you draw for yourself that don't move just because your mood does. For example, no matter what, I invest at least 10% of my income before I touch the rest. I do not finance status purchases with debt. If I don't understand it, I don't invest in it. When I'm emotional, I don't make big money decisions for 24 hours. These rules act like guardrails on a mountain road. You might still swerve, but they stop you from flying off the edge. After rules come systems. This is where you use automation structure to make your rules easier to follow. Automatic transfers, separate accounts for bills, investments, and spending, calendar reminders for audits and reviews, checklists for evaluating an investment or a business idea. You don't rely on motivation to remember what to do. You build a system that does the remembering for you. And finally, environment. If your friends, feeds, and routines constantly celebrate impulse spending, shortcuts, and wallow thinking, your rules and systems will always feel like a punishment. But if you start to fill your environment with voices that talk about discipline, building, and ownership, people who are actually walking the path of smart investing, content that teaches you skills instead of just distracting you, suddenly millionaire behavior feels less like fighting the world and more like just normal life. So here's how you can start blending all of this into something real. Imagine you sit down tonight with a notebook, no distractions, just honesty. Step one, identity. Right, I am becoming the kind of person who, and finish that sentence 3 times. I am becoming the kind of person who tells the truth about my money. I am becoming the kind of person who always has a plan for my income. I am becoming the kind of person who builds wealth slowly and calmly. Don't rush through this, feel it. This is not a social media caption. It's a contract with your future. Step 2, choose one rule, not 10. 1, for the next 90 days, what is one rule you refuse to break? Maybe it's, I will not let a single month pass without investing something, no matter how small. Or I will write every rupee, every dollar I spend. Or I will reduce my debt balance every month, no excuses. Step 3, build a simple system for that rule. If your rule is investing monthly, set up an automatic transfer on payday into a brokerage or investment account. If your rule is tracking expenses, install an app or create a simple sheet you open every night before bed. If your rule is paying down debt, set a fixed payment that goes out automatically above the minimum. Step 4, adjust your environment. Unfollow accounts that trigger mindless spending or constant comparison. Follow channels, books, and people that teach you about money, business, and investing. Start one conversation a week with someone who is serious about building a better financial life. These aren't flashy steps. They won't impress anyone on the outside. But on the inside, they're rewiring your destiny. Now let's talk about something deeper than systems and rules, purpose. Because if your only goal is, I want a lot of money, you will eventually get bored, lost, or corrupted. Money by itself is a weak fool. It burns out, never feels like enough. Millionaire behavior, the kind that sustains itself over decades, is almost always tied to bigger why. It sounds like this. I want financial freedom so I can be fully present with my family without constant fear. I want to build wealth so I can choose meaningful work, not desperate work. I want to create assets so that long after I'm gone, the people I love still benefit. I want to have money so I can give with power, not just with sympathy. Without this deeper why, discipline feels like punishment. With a clear why, discipline becomes devotion. Let me share a story with you. There was a man who was always scattered with money. He'd save for a while, then splurge. He'd invest, then panic and sell. He knew better, but he never did better. Then his first child was born. He held that tiny life in his hands and suddenly realized, my decisions are no longer just about me. So he sat down one night, tired, emotional, scared, and wrote a single sentence on a piece of paper. I will build a financial foundation so this child never has to live in fear of survival like I did. Every time he wanted to impulsively buy something he didn't need, he would look at that sentence. Every time he felt lazy about learning, he would look at that sentence. Every time he was tempted by some get-rich-quick nonsense, he would look at that sentence. Did he become perfect overnight? No. But his purpose was bigger than his mood. And slowly, his behavior caught up. You don't need a child to feel that. You don't need some dramatic life event. You just need to answer one question honestly. If my money life truly transformed over the next 10 years, who else would benefit besides me? Who would breathe easier? Who would feel safer? Who would have more options? Who would see through your example what's possible? Hold those faces in your mind. That's who you're doing this for when your energy dips, when the plan feels slow, when the old habits call you back. Now, let's circle back to the title, Broke vs. Millionaire, the money habits that sacredly decide your future. By now, you can feel that it was never just about income, right? Broke is living by emotion instead of by design, treating money like a temporary comfort instead of a powerful tool, avoiding the mirror when things go wrong, worshiping the short term and sacrificing the long term, refusing responsibility and waiting for rescue. Millionaire is paying the future before feeding the impulses, operating from rules, systems, and identity instead of moods, turning every loss into a lesson and every season into a teacher, embracing patience, compounding, and long horizons, accepting responsibility and claiming the driver's seat. And here's the twist that most people never see. You don't need a single extra dollar to start living on the millionaire side of that list. You can be broke in your bank account and a millionaire in your behavior today. The world will not clap for you when you start. No one will throw a party because you opened your first investment account. No one will congratulate you for saying no to another mindless purchase. No one will like your post because you quietly paid down your debt instead of buying something flashy. But the future will clap. Your older self will clap. The people who depend on you will feel the difference, even if they can't explain it. So, as we move toward the final stretch of this journey together, I want you to remember something. You are not stuck with the money story you were born into. You are not doomed to repeat the patterns you grew up watching. You are not too late, too small, too behind, or too broken to start rewriting your financial destiny. You are one decision away from a new direction, and a few consistent habits away from a new identity. Broke or millionaire is not a label the world gives you. It is a pattern you choose day after day, quietly, privately, consistently. And if you've listened this far, if something inside you is still here, still awake, still hungry for change, then you already have what most people don't, the willingness to face the truth. From here on, every choice with your money is a vote for broke, or a vote for builder, a vote for reaction, or a vote for responsibility, a vote for momentary comfort, or a vote for lasting freedom. You won't always choose perfectly. No one does. But if from tonight your votes start shifting, just a little, just consistently, your future will not look like your past. And that is the quiet, powerful magic of these money habits. They don't just change your numbers, they change your narrative. Now we've walked through the behaviors, the mindset, the systems, the identity, and the purpose. Take a slow breath with me for a moment. Let everything you've heard in this video settle, not just in your mind, but in your chest. Because this was never just about money, it was about who you are becoming. Somewhere along the way, the world taught you that broke or rich is just a number, a bank balance, a title, a car, a house, a lifestyle. But you know better now. You've seen that broke is a pattern and millionaire is a pattern, one driven by reaction, the other by responsibility. One built on escape, the other on intention. One fueled by fear, the other by vision. And here you are standing quietly between those two roads, not in some distant future, right now. In the next choice you make with your time, the next purchase you do or don't make, in the next decision to learn or to scroll, in the next moment you either face your numbers or look away again. I want you to understand something very clearly. You are not behind, you are not late. You are right on time for the version of you that finally woke up. Life doesn't restart at 20, 30, 40, or 50. It restarts the moment you say, I am done living on autopilot. I will not drift anymore. I will decide. That decision is rare. Most people never make it. They complain, they wish, they envy. They fantasize about on big break while quietly repeating the same habits that keep them stuck. You, just by listening this far, have already done something different. You have given your future a few uninterrupted minutes of your present. That's not entertainment. That's investment. Now the question is, what will you do with it? I want you to picture your life like a long, quiet road at night. For years, you've been driving with other people's voices in the passenger seat. People like us don't get rich. Investing is too risky. Just enjoy now. You only live once. Rich people are all even with. Those voices made you hit the brakes every time you were about to grow. Every time you thought about saving more, investing more, learning more, they whispered you back into comfort. Tonight, you're allowed to open the door and let some of those voices step out with love, without hatred, just release. Make space in that car for new voices. I am building. Even if no one sees it yet, my future deserves a seat at this table. I choose discipline over drama. I can learn this. I can change this. You don't have to shout it. You don't have to announce it. Just know it quietly. Because the most powerful transformations do not happen in public. They happen in those small, unphotographed decisions when you choose to act like the person you want to become, long before the world believes you. There will be days you feel strong, inspired, unstoppable. On those days, move, study more, build more, push your limits a little further. But there will also be days you feel tired, afraid, doubtful. On those days, don't chase perfection. Just protect the habit. If you said you'll invest every month, and the month is brutal, invest a tiny amount, but don't break the chain. If you said you'll track your money and you miss a few days, don't abandon it. Sit down, catch up, and continue. Millionaire behavior isn't about never falling. It's about always returning. Little by little, your numbers will start to change, but something far more important will change first. Your relationship with money. You'll stop seeing it as a constant enemy or as a god to worship and start seeing it as a quiet servant, a tool you respect but do not fear, a resource you direct, not something that controls your identity. And that's where inner peace begins. Peace is not just sitting on a beach with a big account. Peace is opening your banking app without flinching. Peace is knowing your bills are covered before they even arrive. Peace is looking at the future, not as a threat, but as a field you're already planning in. Peace is being able to give without resentment, without panic, without needing applause. Abundance is not only, I have more than enough. Abundance is also, I trust that I am building something real and I don't have to prove it to anyone. So as this message nears its end, I want you to do something very simple and very serious. Pick one habit, just one. Maybe it's, I will pay my future self first from every single income I receive. Or, I will sit down this weekend and look honestly at my last 90 days of spending. Or, I will start learning about one investment vehicle deeply instead of chasing 10. Whatever it is, write it down after this video, not in your mind, on paper, on your phone, somewhere you'll see it. Then attach it to a why that makes you emotional. I'm doing this so my family doesn't live in constant fear. I'm doing this so my future self can live with dignity. I'm doing this to break the cycle I inherited. I'm doing this so I can bless others from overflow, not from exhaustion. That combination, a clear habit and a deep why, is more powerful than any market prediction, any piece of breaking news, any get-rich-quick promise. From their time and consistency will do what they've always done. They will quietly separate you from the crowd. One day, people will look at you and say, you're lucky. They must have had help. It just worked out for them. They will never see these late nights of learning, these quiet decisions, these small sacrifices, these internal battles you fought when no one was watching. But you will know, you will remember this moment, this season, this chapter of your life where you finally said, I choose the millionaire path in my behavior, long before it shows in my balance. And in that moment, not when you hit a certain number, not when you buy a certain thing, but in that moment of inner shift, that is when your future truly changes. So as you go back to your life after this video, carry this calm certainty with you. You are not chasing wealth. You are becoming a steward of it. You are not begging for opportunities. You are becoming the kind of person who recognizes and uses them. You are not competing with anyone else's timeline. You are walking your own with intention. May your habits be wise. May your vision be long. May your heart stay generous. And may your mind grow calmer as you build a life of true abundance. Not just in numbers, but in freedom, in purpose, and in peace.